Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Southard.
Here.
Magistrate Tompkins.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Starks.
Here.
Magistrate Berry is absent.
Gentlemen, you have before you in your packet the minutes of the November 28th fiscal court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So move.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any other corrections, clarifications, or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a busy agenda today. I know it looks really lengthy, but I should be able to go pretty smoothly, I hope. But first, I want to tell everybody that we have a VIP in our midst, and somebody who I've known quite some time, and I'm glad it's here today because we have a proclamation in his honor, and if you don't mind, I'd like to read it myself. Sure. Whereas Roy Pullum has served Henderson County with determination and distinction for more than 50 years, including 4 decades teaching in the local school system, and even more time than that volunteering for numerous local nonprofit organizations. Whereas, among his notable accomplishments as an educator, Mr. Pullum created Bonnet Productions, in which students conducted video interviews with local citizens of note, recording for posterity their personal stories and the history of our community. Those recordings are now part of the collections at both the Henderson County Public Library and the Louis B. Nunn Center for Oral History at the University of Kentucky. And whereas in focusing on the needs of those less fortunate, Mr. Pullum has worked tirelessly to ease the burdens of struggling families and individuals through his involvement in charitable endeavors. Agencies he's assisted included the Salvation Army, Junior Optimist Club, the Henderson County Public Library Foundation, the Henderson County Detention Center, the Women's Addiction Recovery Manor, the Gathering Place, and the Father Bradley Shelter for Women and Children. And whereas Henderson Countyans of all ages and backgrounds have benefited from Mr. Pullum's skill as a teacher and passion for helping others, and his legacy of selflessness, empathy, and active participation in finding solutions to problems is a roadmap for positive change we all should follow. Now, therefore, to honor his lifelong efforts to improve the lives of those with which he shared our community, I, Brad Schneider, by virtue of the authority vested in me as County Judge Executive of the County of Henderson, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 as Roy Pullum Day.
Thank you, Judge. I taught government for a number of years and I also taught history. We're living in a time that is so divided and is so partisan, but I'm glad when I come to this fiscal court, and I've been here many a time, there's a spirit of what's best for this community, and it all comes from leadership. We've had some great judges and we've had some great magistrates. A long time, someone would come and say, Roy, run for city commissioner or run for magistrate. And I'd tell Velma and she'd say, you can file for divorce in the same building. I never thought that I could do the job you do, because at times I get a little bit short-patient, and nothing ever bothered me as much as when Judge Hayden and I wrote a letter to the paper about a need for the drug court. And the phone rang that Saturday morning, and Judge Hayden. And Judge Hayden is not always the most patient man himself. He said, Roy, do you believe what you told me? I said, yes. He said, well, we'll be on plane Friday. And there were only 2 to start out, but boy, there were some great people joining that drug court group. Judge Hayden and I flew to San Francisco, and it was like we'd never been to Kansas. But anyway, we got things going in the right direction, and we came home, and we picked the 8 other people, some of the finest people in the history of this county. And I had a heart attack, and they said, "Boys in charge of your court, if he can't come, you won't get the money." So I told Velma, and she said she'd take off without pay from the hospital. And she flew to Olympia, Washington. And then we went to Charleston, South Carolina, and it was spits to her. And when we got all of that done, Mitch McConnell gave all the money to Eastern Kentucky. And looked like the drug court was gone. Judge Hayden came to you, and you came through. And we had a successful drug court. And because of your efforts, Webster County got one too. They got the piggyback off of your efforts. But that's only one area that I could speak to where this fiscal court has muscled up and done the things it needs to do for the people of Henderson County. I'm not a native Henderson Countyan. As Mr. Tweedale noted in his Hendersonian, that I hitchhiked to go to school here. And I was with my good friend at that time, Bruce Bennett, and we were downtown. And you can remember they had the old jail downtown. They had some other things downtown. And I said to Bruce Bennett, I said, "I'm going to live here." He said, "Well, I'm getting out." And I said, "I don't think you're going to find any better people." And, you know, from E.L. Overfield, who gave me my scholarship when I didn't have any money, to a wonderful black man by the name of Johnson. When I'd hitchhike up here, he would be waiting at the RECC building with his car on hot. I know he was burning up, but he knew I was cold. And he gave me a ride out there to school. But I love this town. I met my wife here. We made our life here. And we could have lived anywhere because we don't have a family other than my children I taught and my friends that I love. So anyway, I've lived up to again to the adage my father told me when I was a boy. He said, "Son, if I ask you what time it is, you tell me how to build a watch. Well, I want you to know that this watch is going to keep on ticking as long as we have people like you who are selfless and will work for our community. Thank you so much. And I will always appreciate your kindness to me and to my wife. Thank you."
Judge, could I ask for a point of personal privilege?
Yes, sir.
You know, Roy talked about that watch keep on going, you know, but he told me about one of Hamlet's play, a guy, Polonius, and he would get real long-winded and talk and talk and talk. Then I think the Queen got on him one time and said, "Just get to the point." But what he would say somewhere when he started, he said, "Brevity is the soul of wit." Now, that's not Roy Polk. He admitted it. But it is with me. And I just want to say there's a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt that said, "Many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends will leave footprints in your heart." Roy, you know you've left that big footprint in my heart, but you left it in this whole community, the whole community, as an educator, an advocate, and I'm going to call you the idea guy, because you had some great ideas that we've implemented. And one that Roy and I are particularly really proud of is the Judge's Scholar. There's the guy there.
Yep.
That come up with that. And I was just one of the mechanics of getting it done. But anyway, Roy, you'll have a place in the heart of Henderson forever. You're a great man. Thank you, Judge.
I'll be real
Yes,
brief.
sir.
And Mr. Pullum, you probably don't remember me, but I can tell you, I've done a lot of coaching. I hadn't always been I'm a little rough around the edges, as they say. But I've done a lot of coaching and a lot of volunteering, and I've tried to be the best version of myself. And I can tell you, a lot of that has to do with what you taught me. I mean, I can tell you a lot of the jokes I tell my kids and stories come from your classroom out there in that annex out there at North Junior High School. And you say that, you couldn't do this job. Well, I say that you created people that did this job. So I thank you for that.
You got your butt wet a lot of times.
I did. Yep.
And you didn't think he remembered you.
Maybe sometimes they try to forget those people.
I'll tell you a Roy Pullum story, and this is an indication of how he looked out for people, and even people he barely knew but had a sense that might need a pat on the back. I was younger, and I had gone back to school to get a teaching credential. It interrupted my journalism career because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I was living in an upstairs apartment in the East End, substitute teaching to see if I actually liked teaching in the classroom, and going to school. I had 4 part-time jobs, 4 part-time. And Mr. Pullum was still teaching and saw this, and I guess he decided, that it was worth, my effort was worth recognizing in some way. So one morning, I got a knock on the door to my little walk-up apartment, and there he was, Roy Pullum, the Roy Pullum, and he handed me a Kentucky Colonel. For me, and I didn't think, well, what have I done to deserve that? And he said, well, you're just trying real hard and you deserve it. And so I didn't have a full-time job, barely had an apartment, had a beat-up car, but one thing I was a Kentucky Colonel, thanks to Roy Pullum. And it made my month. And that little bit of kindness, I think, is illustrative of all the little kindnesses, big and small, I should say, that you've done with people over the years. And it makes, and don't think for a minute that people don't remember all those little things that you did.
Absolutely.
And for thousands of people. So it's our honor to proclaim today in your name, and thank you for coming to visit. I know it's not easy for you to get around right now, so well deserved though. Thank you. And I noticed as I was reading this that there were a couple typos and some bad grammar, and I can't for the life of me give that to you, an educator, so we're going to fix them. I'll give it to Butch, and we'll get it to you when it's right.
Judge. With that grammar, but I've always felt like the truth of the soul is more important. And one of the things, the early kids I taught in school had dyslexia. We didn't know what to do with them. But one kid would stand out because he was a genius, but he was dyslexic. And it's Ricky Ballou. And I spent many of my lunch hours with him trying to get him to write, but he could see the words, but he saw them every which way. But he was smart, and we have to understand what people can do and what they can't do, and the blessings that each person contains. You wrote a damn good sports article, and you may not have gone to ESPN, but you did a good job for us here. And there are a lot of people. You wouldn't be sitting at that seat if a lot of people hadn't seen the ability that you had.
I appreciate that.
Judge Butch mentioned Polonius from Hamlet. One of the quotes and about that Polonius says that really strikes true, I think, with Mr. Pullum, is when we are true to ourselves, we can be false to no one. And Roy Pullum has been true to himself and to this community for so many years, and your fingerprints are all over it, and we thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Roy.
Judge, if I could just also interject very briefly how much we all loved you and appreciate you and Velma and all that you've done and all you've meant to me. You are an inspiration for me to decide to be on this court. And so I want you to know that. And you're the perfect example, actually, of someone who has made such a difference in their community without ever having to be an elected official. You don't have to be one of us. We're very few in the city and the county and even on the state level. There's so many other people out there that can do great things and never take that oath of office. I just wanted to say, I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning thinking about what I was going to say to you. You remind me of King Wenceslas of the Christmas Carol, because he went out on the coldest and the darkest night to go help his neighbor to make sure he didn't starve or freeze to death in the dead of winter. And you've done that so many countless times. You and your wife both have gone out with total disregard for your own safety and health and your own treasures to help others. And it's that giving spirit that we're commemorating here and will always be remembered. But you also remind me of another gentleman, and that is P.T. Barnum, because he didn't know how to walk a tightrope or juggle or tame tigers, but he knew other people that could, and he brought them all together and created a circus that he took around the world and became rich and famous. Now, you never really became rich in monetary terms, but your legacy will go on because you did the same thing. You didn't know how video cameras worked or a tape recorder or a microphone, but you knew other people that could, and you put together that bonnet program, and you went not around the world, but around this Commonwealth, telling legacy stories that now are going to be archived for ages. And plus, you imparted upon those students what it meant to learn from other leaders and their stories and how they got to where they got to be, and hopefully inspired a whole generation of new leaders. But the other thing I think of is you're an alchemist or a magician, because you would take cauldrons of bubbling burgoo down here on Water Street and turn it into silver and gold for the Riverview School and help them keep their doors open so that the smallest and the neediest of our community, state didn't do it, federal didn't do it, they're doing it all by themselves down here, and you helped with and your students, and you taught them not just how to stir a burgoo, but what it meant to be a service leader. So, and you did that with the Salvation Army and all these others we've talked about. So I just wanted to say thank you for being my friend.
Thank you, Roy. And we'll get that proclamation to you. Thank you.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Velma.
I know Stacy McCord Crooks hates to follow that, but you are next on the agenda. So.
She's all right, too. I said you're all right, too. Pretty all right.
Well, I'm just coming up to say a few things to you guys before I turn over the torch. A few months ago, I was asking myself, what in the, what have I gotten myself into? When I got the presidency basically thrown at me, and what all I had to build back up. And then I got to thinking, and there's several of you on here that have known me for years, and probably thought, Stacy's the president. We knew that was going to happen, especially Stevie, knowing me for, sorry, Steve. He'll forever be Stevie to me. And Bill, and Butch has been over the years. Since 2011, I have been doing horse calls with animal control. Just a short snippet of life and how life comes to fruition that we don't expect. April 2016, they had a Hall of Fame dinner at the high school. There was a keynote speaker, and there was a girl there from the time she heard who the keynote speaker was, had an agenda. And at the end of that Hall of Fame dinner, and everybody was inducted, and this exhausted girl that still had dirt under her fingernails and sweat in her hair from doing a 3-horse seizure for hours that day and been in the barn with 3 starvation case horses, introduced herself to a keynote speaker because I knew he was the only one that would help change this community and help me fight this fight along with the magistrates. I'm sure I just walked up to him and he was kind of taken aback because, I'm shoving my hand in his face and going, "Hi, I'm Stacey McCord Crooks. I just got done doing a 3-horse starvation case call. We've got a problem in this community and I'm gonna need your help." And he said, "We have that problem in this community." I said, "Sir, we have this problem bad. And it's not just the horses, it's others." That was the day I met Judge Brad Snyder. I don't know if you remember that. Probably not. You've had a lot of interactions. But that day you said, "I'd like to talk to you about it." All these years later, here we are, working together as president of the Humane Society governing animal control, working with you and your team here on the panel. We have a equine division now. We are built back up. I am president. As I drove down the road, asking myself, why did I get myself into this? And I know it probably sounds like I need some help, but myself said back to me, "Really, Stacey, you knew this was coming." So thank you for working with me and helping me build back what has needed to be built back for a long time. I hope to continue that way, and we have a wonderful executive director now that is leading the team. And I'm going to turn over the torch so you guys don't have to see me anymore unless she decides to go on vacation. And I enjoy seeing all of you, which was not the case in years past, so I thank you for that. It's been great working with you guys, and I'm going to continue to be working with you guys. And anytime you need anything, you've got my number. You can call me. And thank you again
My pleasure.
for being here today and working with me and letting that exhausted girl take a break. So I would like to introduce our wonderful new leader and executive director, Melinda Whitlock.
Yay!
Hello, gentlemen. As she said, I am Melinda Whitlock. I am the new executive director. I'm very happy to have this honor. Happy to be in front of you. I do have the report for the numbers. I believe Amber has already sent you our financial report. I have the report for November. It looks like we had 111 dogs that came in, almost all large breed. Large dogs. We had a few small dogs here and there. We had of those, we have 5 returned to owners, which is excellent. We've been pushing that on Facebook. That way, as soon as we get in a lost dog, we're able to get them back to their owner. Because so many people, that's how they communicate in this community, is through Facebook. So we've been really big on pushing that since I've taken over. We had 7 adoptions last month, which I have to tell you isn't great, but December looks much, much better. I hosted my first open house event, and it went very well. So right now, I can tell you we have about half sitting there of what we had this month. So that's very, very nice. I hope to continue that and continue fundraisers. We have 5 that went to a rescue, which is something else I intend to work on. Any dog that we think is aggressive or dangerous or just needs some sort of rehabilitation or medical that we are not set for. I'm going to try to reach out to as many rescues as we can because they have funding available for that. So we're going to try to work with as many rescues, especially with our larger aggressive dogs, because euthanasia is not something I am opposed to, but it's something I would like to not do unless we absolutely have to. And nobody wants to do that. That is not fun. That is not what I am here for. And I'm going to try to do my best to make sure we give everybody the best possible chance available. Okay? Do you have any questions for me?
I'd just like to say welcome aboard.
I'm so
Yeah, we
happy.
love having a new director.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Nothing against you, Stacy.
I believe
Yeah.
I'm the most grateful.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, you're remaining on the Humane Society.
Oh,
board,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm here.
And I believe we have a full complement of animal control officers now, or
We
st-
do, we do.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
they-
Are you, I swore you in it, right, as an animal
Yes,
control
you
officer?
did.
Good. So we
Yeah.
have 4 sworn. Excellent,
We
excellent.
do, we do.
And I know there's still hiccups to get through, but I know you're working on those. I think we participated in an email that I hope we can work out. And I if I'm not mistaken, Stacy, and let me know, we started out the fiscal year with the city requiring some things at animal control that took a while to kind of wrestle with. But the city is now funding its share.
Well,
Yes, no?
That was something we had worked on. When we had talked about the funding for the 3 months that we didn't
Right.
get the city, that, I was told incorrectly. It did not come out of the Humane Society side. That was a $27,000 that we had put aside to buy a new animal control truck that had to be used to pay the city's portion.
Okay.
So we are out that money, and we have a truck that's, one day it might work, one day it doesn't. So we're working on that to get the city what they need to try to get that money back, because we need a new truck.
Okay, so
We
you're
don't
working on
need officers getting broke down.
And I think where we left it, if I'm not mistaken, is the city would like to see how it goes with Melinda.
Correct. Well, I
And
think
then-
they wanted it, yeah, to make sure everything was done by February and how it was going.
February.
So, yeah.
So we're kind of pointing towards February as a time for the city to.
They'll renew it, yes,
yeah,
at
and-
that time.
and take stock of how everything's going.
Correct. They just wanted us to be in full compliance. And they gave us till February to do that, but as I told all of you, if I didn't have it done by the end of November, I was gone.
Well, it sounds like you
Oh,
certainly
absolutely.
staffing-wise, we got an executive director
Yes.
now and full complement of ACOs and.
I believe everything will stay wonderful now.
Good deal.
I mean, we're going to have
Knock on
hiccups.
wood.
It's a learning experience. Everybody has hiccups. And unfortunately, we're going to, do I say we won't be having some turnover? You know how the job goes. It gets burnout.
Yeah.
It really does. So, but we are having more,
Yeah.
which is taking more of our money too. That's, but we want to get in individuals,
Right.
Let me,
Well, just finish my thought. In addition to our funding support, if there's any of these other, issues we can help with or challenges we can
yeah,
help
I
with,
need to get with you on that. I figured we'd do that after the first of the year. We'd maybe sit down.
I think we'd be happy to help. So I'm sorry.
oh, no, just a clarification. So the city withheld
3
for
months.
3 months. Now, are they going to back that up and kind of be is it prorated, or is it just that money's not there? They're not going to give it?
The money's there because they didn't pay it and they had
Yeah.
it.
Right, but
So I'm getting them the financial and stuff because I'm fighting to get it back. I've talked, Brad knows kind of what's going on and who wants to give it back and struggling to get others on board. So I'm fighting for that right.
so you're in the black now by virtue of spending your truck money.
We're in the red.
I thought, okay,
We're in the red of getting a new truck. We used all that on 3 months, and we were in compliance with 3 animal control officers and an executive director when the contract came up in July. So there was no reason that contract shouldn't have been signed at that time.
But you're working with the city to.
I am
extend it.
trying to, yes, I'm trying to get that done. The wording of the contract that they put in basically doesn't include that, but I'm hoping to get that changed because we can't, and we got a $9,000 audit coming up that city county, makes us do. We don't have the money to pay that in animal control. But that's
Stacy,
what I'm saying.
what percentage of animals do you pick up in the city?
We pick up way more in the city than we do in the county.
90% of all animals?
There's, yes, yeah, 90%, probably.
Even could be more.
Yeah, it could be more. In the county, it's harder to judge, which the county does not have near the amount, than the city, period. It's hard to judge because they have more space to run and not as many people calling as in the city. Or if it's a vicious dog, you don't have someone getting bit and calling, and now because they have more space without people. But no, Brad and I have talked about this before. Yeah, county does not have near the amount of city. Yeah, all of our calls are city.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Stacy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Glenn.
Any other questions about animal control? We're glad you're here. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have several appointments to work through. Some will require a vote, some do not. First, I have two joint reappointments. Dr. Dick Wam and William Freitag are on the airport board. Their terms are coming into an end. They both want to re-up. They've done a good job. It is a joint appointment with the mayor, not necessarily requiring a fiscal court vote, but I just want to let you know that the mayor and I have agreed to reappoint Dr. Wam and Mr. Freitag. I'm glad they're willing to serve. They've done a good job. On our code enforcement board, we recreated that or created that 2 years ago, I believe, and staggered the appointments so they all wouldn't roll off at one time. And the first of those now are coming up, both Matt Calvert and Mac Arnold, who serve on our code enforcement board. Their terms are about to expire, and they have both expressed interest in being reappointed. They've done, again, a good job, and I will entertain a motion to reappoint Matt Calvert and Mac Arnold to our code enforcement board.
So move. Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions about that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? On the Ethics Committee, Roy Pullum serves, and his term is expiring this month, and he is health-wise not in a position to serve, and I'd like to appoint Bob McIndoe, who has served on the Board of Ethics before, to a 3-year term to take over for Roy. For those of you who don't know, the Ethics Committee is a standing committee that occasionally, if there are issues within county government involving any kind of potential violation of our code of ethics, it's kind of a neutral committee that the issue's taken to, and they make a recommendation back to either fiscal court or county attorney's office if need be.
And that is a joint board with the city and I believe the city of Gordon as well.
Yeah. So thankfully, they haven't met very often in recent years, but it is a board we need to keep fully appointed. So I'll entertain a motion to appoint Bob McIndoe to the Board of Ethics.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our next appointment involves a resolution. Many of you, I think, know that Mike Valines, longtime electrical inspector here in the county, is asked to reduce his workload, and he no longer wants to handle all the permitting out in the county. So we have to appoint a new electrical inspector. Damian Young, who has all the necessary credentials to do the electrical inspections in the county, introduced himself to me, and we have talked. And what I'd like to do is appoint him as electrical inspector for the county on an interim basis, so he can pick up where Mike Valines will leave off at the end of the month. And then in January, while Damian is handling the electrical permits, we will actually post the position. We encourage him to apply. We will see how that posting goes, and at the end of that process, we'll appoint a permanent electrical inspector. Does that sound workable? We have a fee schedule, as you know, in our code of ordinances, and his compensation comes from collecting those fees. I will tell you that for next fiscal year, Buzzy Newman, City Manager Buzzy Newman, and I have discussed the possibility of creating a full-time position jointly paid for by city and county instead of having a kind of an independent contractor like this situation involves, who collects the fees themselves. If we were to create a full-time position, the fees would come to the city and county instead. And we might have a little bit more control of their time, where their focus is. That's just a discussion at this point, and I'll report back. This is also something the city-county work group will probably discuss in the future. So in the meantime, I'm glad we were able to identify Mr. Young and have him step right in beginning first of the year. And I will have the clerk read this resolution.
A resolution of the Henderson County Fiscal Court authorizing Henderson County Judge Executive to execute agreements with an electrical inspector to perform inspections in Henderson County. Whereas the current Henderson County electrical inspector has resigned effective December 31st, 2023, whereas electrical inspections ensure compliance with Kentucky's electrical code, and whereas KRS 198B.060 Section 11 requires the county to employ or contract with at least one state-certified electrical inspector to conduct electrical inspections within our jurisdiction. And whereas it appears that Damian Young is an electrical inspector certified with the Commonwealth of Kentucky and has previously served in the capacity of an electrical inspector. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court, County of Henderson, Kentucky as follows. The Henderson County Fiscal Court hereby authorizes County Judge Executive to sign and execute an agreement with Damon Young to perform electrical inspections in Henderson County. Said agreement will be in terms similar to the current electrical inspector agreement.
Any questions? Entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, County Engineer Nick Stallings has an appointment promoting Bobby Proctor to Road Supervisor, and if you'd like to add comment, Nick?
No, this is just, as y'all know, Glenn Cummings, the old, the previous road superintendent, got hurt many months ago, back in May. He can no longer perform his duties. So in that meantime, Bobby Proctor stepped up, and he has done the is acting, has done well, and he has made the, he is okayed that he wanted to continue. So so I was wanting to promote him as the road superintendent for the road department.
And he will come in at the salary that we originally budgeted for that position, correct?
Yes. Yeah, he will come in at 55,000 for the road superintendent.
Any questions?
I move we approve, Judge.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve promoting Bobby Proctor in to the role as road supervisor. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The large document in your packet, which I'm sure you all took time to read every word, it's basically taking advantage of a grant opportunity to study Elam Ditch and ways that we might be able to mitigate flooding potential with Elam Ditch. And the first step in eventually getting monies to actually do that is getting a study done. And the application that's in your packet is for the funding for that study. There is a match, and we have worked with Collie Smith at GRAD in preparing this application, and he indicates there's a great chance that we can use our in-kind work to meet the match. We will do our best to make sure that happens. If, in case we do have to allocate a little bit of funding to meet the match, I think it's worthwhile. As many of you know, all of you know, drainage is something we wrestle with just constantly. And Elam Ditch is one of the main tributaries coming into Canoe Creek from the county. And a lot of work has been done inside the city limits with cut-through to try to mitigate the amount of water that flows into Canoe Creek through Elam Ditch and its other feeder creeks. So Elam Ditch is a big one. And obviously, the more we can do to make that situation better, we should. And so that's what this is all about. So we have any questions about that before I have the clerk read the resolution? Again, we're not committing yet to any further funding and the responsibilities that go with it for actual work on Elam Ditch. We're merely getting a grant for the study. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Clerk.
Designation of applicant's agent resolution be resolved by the Henderson County Fiscal Court of Henderson County that Brad Schneider, Judge Executive, is hereby authorized to execute for and in behalf of Henderson County, a public entity established under the laws of the state of Kentucky, this application and to file it in the appropriate state office for the purpose of obtaining certain federal financial assistance under the Disaster Relief Act, Public Law 288, 93rd Congress, or otherwise available from the Presidential Disaster Relief Fund. That Henderson County, a public entity established under the laws of the state of Kentucky, hereby authorizes its agent to provide to the state and to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for all matters pertaining to such federal disaster assistance, the assurance and agreements printed on the reverse side hereof.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have the annual Rescue Squad affiliation agreement. Kenny Garrett's with us. Anything you'd like to add to the agreement? This is something we do every year to solidify and reaffirm our affiliation with Rescue Squad to perform the services, its mission. And we have a resolution for this as well. Any questions before I have the clerk read the resolution? Mr. Clerk?
Resolution authorizing County Judge Executive to execute Henderson City County Rescue Squad affiliation agreement. Whereas KRS 39F establishes the framework for the establishment and operation of a county-wide rescue squad, and whereas the Henderson City County Rescue Squad Incorporated has served in such capacity in accordance with its mission statement and applicable laws and without fee for service, and whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court must authorize and affiliate with the Henderson City County Rescue Squad Incorporated on an annual basis for its continued operation, and whereas it is recognized that all assets, property, funds, or interests acquired, appropriated, donated, or raised for the benefit and/or operation of the Henderson City County Rescue Squad Incorporated shall be deemed property of Henderson County, City of Henderson, or when acquired through state funds, the property of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And the Henderson City County Rescue Squad Incorporated will be responsible for the management and accounting of all said assets. And whereas the bylaws of the Henderson City County Rescue Squad Incorporated shall conform to applicable state and federal laws and regulations and may not limit the authority of the county judge executive, mayor, and/or local emergency management director in the provision and management of the rescue squad services to the city and the county. And whereas it is therefore the desire of the Henderson Fiscal Court to affiliate with and officially designate Henderson City County Rescue Squad Incorporated as the sole officially recognized rescue squad in the Henderson County and the City of Henderson. Now therefore be resolved by the Fiscal Court, County of Henderson, Kentucky as follows. That the Henderson County Fiscal Court hereby authorizes County Judge Executive Brad Schneider to execute the annual statement of affiliation between the County of Henderson, City of Henderson, and the Henderson City County Rescue Squad, and to thereby affiliate the Henderson Fiscal Court with and authorize the continued operation of said entity as the sole recognized rescue squad in Henderson County pursuant to KRS Chapter 39F until December 31st, 2024.
Get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We also have a resolution of our annual memorandum of agreement with our emergency management folks, a document that must be executed each year in order for our EMA to be eligible for state funding, and part of which is also federal funding, I believe, flowing through the state. I don't know that you want to add anything to that, Mr. Garrett? Okay. Again, something we do every year, make sure that Kenny can get reimbursed for many things that are involved in his office. So I'll have the clerk read the resolution.
A resolution authorizing county judge executive to execute memorandum of agreement with Kentucky Department of Military Affairs, Division of Emergency Management regarding Federal Emergency Management Performance Grant, EMPG, eligibility. Whereas the 2024 Kentucky EMA program is funded by the Federal Emergency Management Performance Grant, EMPG, the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management passes through approximately 50% of the grant funds to participate in county programs. Whereas counties must also follow all applicable state and federal laws, regulations, policies, and procedures, including 2 CFR 200, Kentucky Revised Statutes, KRS, Chapter 39, and Kentucky Administrative Requirement Regulations, KAR, Title 106, Chapter 1. Whereas the EMPG program provides federal funds to assist state and local governments in preparing for all hazards, is authorized by Section 662 of the Post-Katrina Emergency Management Reform Act, 6 U.S.C. Section 762, and the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act as amended, 42 U.S.C. 5121, whereas Kentucky Emergency Management, KYEM, per KRS 39A.050-2B, has the power, authority, and duty to coordinate the development, implementation, and maintenance of comprehensive emergency management programs by local emergency management agencies in the cities, counties, and urban county or charter county governments of the Commonwealth to ensure that all such programs, agencies, and organizations are organized, administered, and operated as functional components of an integrated emergency management system of the Commonwealth. And whereas it is the recommendation of the Henderson County Emergency Management Director that the county execute this agreement in order to be eligible to receive grant EMPG funding from the state. Now therefore be it resolved as follows: that the Henderson County Fiscal Court hereby authorizes and directs County Judge Executive Brad Schneider to execute the attached memorandum of agreement with the Kentucky Department of Military Affairs, Division of Emergency Management regarding Federal Emergency Management Performance Grant, EMPG, and to execute any and all other necessary and appropriate documents required to effectuate the purchase thereof. Further, the Fiscal Court hereby directs the County Judge Executive and Henderson County Emergency Management Director to take all necessary steps to apply for a grant through the KYEMs for EMPG funds.
Entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk, for reading those resolutions. Some challenges. The next item is surplus property from our IT department. As you may recall, Brent Jacobs did a lot of hard work with James Bosler to reconfigure this room, rewire it, mount new cameras, new monitors. Did a really good job. We have a bunch of stuff left over after that work that Brent suggested we put out for bids on state surplus website. So we need and you see the list of items in your packet. Brent, is it safe to say just about all of that stuff came from the refurbishment of this room?
Not everything, but
Almost all of it, yeah, other odds and ends. So, first of all, if it pleased the court, I'd like the clerk just to read the summary of this resolution.
It's a great idea.
I know he wishes I'd asked that the last resolution, but I'll have him read that, and then any questions we'll entertain.
A resolution declaring certain county property to be surplus and providing for the disposition thereof.
Any questions? You get a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. You have also in your packet a schedule for 2024, both our meeting schedule and our holiday schedule. These are the same holidays we have taken since I've gotten here. The schedule remains for meetings as second and fourth Tuesdays, except for December, in which we'll have one meeting, just like this year. Anybody have any questions, comments about the schedule? I'll entertain a motion both to approve the meeting schedule and the holiday schedule.
So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Knocked out two with one vote there. There's an opportunity for our road department to get some new recycling containers via a state grant. Anything you'd like to add to that?
This is, as y'all recall, 3-4 months ago, we got that grant for a new baler, $147,000 for a new baler. The information we receive from the companies that sell the baler, obviously, their balers are the best by us. That's what we kind of use, we kind of use a conglomeration of all of them to try to put together a baler that would work for our needs. Both, either we had a big enough size where the motor wasn't strong enough, or we had a strong motor not a big enough size, did not help our situation out with their balers. So we agreed, rather than just to waste money, to look at using that either give back the money, use that money for other needs for recycling department. We got in contact with Frankfurt and the recycling department and told them what our issues were with the balers. We said what our need we have, as far as we got so many people that want to give recycling in the county. School systems being a majority are big proponent of the large scale protainers. They said yes, that's a very good use for the money. Go ahead and do it. So now we're back on the train using the money for getting large containers of recycling containers, split compartments for cardboard, plastics and aluminum cans, and also just larger cardboard. So that's what I'm asking for, is to go out for bids to utilize this $147,000 to try to buy some more new containers for the school systems and some of our residents out in the business out in the county.
It's also your intention to perhaps put in for a grant next year for that baler.
Yes, and that hasn't changed. That still is our thought. It was just that this money has already been budgeted to the grant department. They said if we didn't use it, kind of lose it. They said, what are your thoughts? We said this is what we would like to do with it if you're okay with it. They said they were fine. It was again anything to help build the recycling community in the Commonwealth. They're all for. So that's what we're doing with it.
And you need to actually put this out for bid, though, correct?
Yes, because there's more than one company that builds these containers. So we would put out for bids with our specs. We need a couple large, multi-compartment containers and 3 or 4, sole source containers. So.
Gotcha. Any questions of Nick? Entertain a motion to approve going out to bid.
Move to approve, go out to bid.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We had a road committee meeting earlier this morning. We discussed an equipment need that Nick might be having. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Nick?
Yes, and I did. It was the road widener. I asked for y'all for bids last time I was here for the piece of widening equipment that goes in front of a skid steer, bobcat, or front end loader. It has different attachments you can use it on. Hydraulic base. It's something that will definitely help out our department where we don't have to rent something, we own it. And it's also not a piece of diesel equipment that we have to maintain. I did ask you all for bids. You all granted me to ask for bids. I started looking through the information, and I only found that there's a sole source that sells them. There's not other pieces there's not other manufacturers that make the same type of equipment. So we have basically one bidder, one buyer, one dealer. That's what I found in my research for this. So.
Well, what we're going to do is double check with the state auditor's office about whether we need to put it out for bid, even though there's only one provider, one source. It's proprietary material, so we won't get other bids.
Right.
But we want to double check with the state auditor. If they come back and say no problem, we have budgeted line item for new equipment that will cover this cost, about $68,000.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Any more information you all need from Nick?
Nope.
If I'm suggesting if he finds out that we can go ahead and buy it without having to bid it, because we
Yeah.
wouldn't get any of the bids anyway, we just go get it.
Yeah, I moved, if we need a motion, I moved to approve that Nick moves forward, provided the state does it.
It's a budgeted item.
So it doesn't matter.
It'll come through our claims once he,
Right, because I knew we already had it in the budget anyway, so.
okay. This is just more an FYI of where this all stands.
Appreciate that. No,
If you're looking at sole source, there needs to be some very good documentation on that and very good clarification. That's typically a concept under the model procurement code. The county has not adopted the model procurement code, so that's when we're talking with the state auditor's office. We need to be very clear about that and make sure you have all your I's dotted and T's crossed, ensuring that it is absolutely a sole source and not available from any other sources.
And you know, that's fine, I'll do that. I went through and tried to find everything that I could find, every picture, every model, everything I saw came back to the same manufacturer. I got in contact with that manufacturer. They said that their area rep that was dedicated to Western Kentucky was this particular business that has been in contact with me, and they gave me a price. So, you know, I can't call them and say, hey, I want to go with somebody else. That's who they have for it. They did submit me a letter saying that under their thoughts, they are the only, you know, in their regulation, they're the only. So, you know, again, you know, I mean, I'll find what I need to find. Obviously, I like having competition, but I'll find what I need to find to make the county attorney smile at me.
I always smile at you.
Thank you, Nick, I appreciate it.
Yep. Also, a little update, the Hatchet Mill Bridge is completed. That was our bridge for 2023 we put in. It's done, open, roads open. We'll patch the ends in in a couple weeks, let both sides settle out, and then the approaches will get paved next paving cycle. So now we're only looking for the next bridge to do for 2024, so.
Well, thank you. Good job. Next, Jailer Bruce Todd.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I'd like to first ask for your prayers and your thoughts. We've one of ours, Captain Duncan, who runs a community service program. His wife died unexpected Sunday morning, so the funeral arrangements have been done. Their visitation's 11 to 1 on Friday at Tomlinson.
On Friday?
Friday.
Okay. At Tomlinson's.
Yes. All right, I think before y'all, you've had got the policy and procedure manual. I want to thank our staff, Lori and colonels and all them for many hours and days of going through this and, you know, looking at it and saying it's not right and going through it again. So we spent a lot of time on that. So I think we got something now that'll work for us. We used a lot of KRSs and, you know, the county, so we should be in good shape. And we asked this morning for your approval
For a little background, several years ago, I think Tim and Butch were on the court when we overhauled our policy manual and our administrative code. And they include HR issues, obviously. One of the things we noticed and agreed was that there are certain aspects of the jail operations that aren't quite accounted for in our regular manual because of their 24/7 work schedule nature and other things. So what we asked the then jailer to do is to create what amounts to an addendum to our policy manual, taking into account the special needs of the jail. And 4 or 5 years later, we finally have that document. And I'm going to ask Angela Comer, our HR director, to come up. And she has reviewed this document with us, and she was also helpful in guiding to making sure it gets to this finished product. And I'll just ask you, after reviewing it, are you satisfied with the results and using it as an addendum to our policy manual?
Yes, the benefit portion of the policy, it looks good, the changes have been made, and it's very acceptable. Yeah.
While I have them both up here, any questions?
Jailer Todd, is this, I know there were a lot of tweaks a couple of years ago done to this by Stacy Blankenship, an attorney for CAECO out of Paducah that does a lot of work defending jails, because jails get sued a lot, y'all. Bruce gets sued more than just about anybody. No, not again. That's a lot of inmates have nothing to do but sit around and write handwritten lawsuits, which almost all get immediately dismissed by the federal courts. But I know Ms. Blankenship worked on a lot of this with Jailer Brady. Is a lot of the substantive stuff about, I think there were mail issues, things like that. Is all of that incorporated into this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So when all this come about, we were kind of like had two different, that's been taken care of.
It's all combined in one, and we got one manual, and once it's approved, we'll distribute it to our staff and make sure they know it, all of it.
They obviously have things that they have to abide by that, doesn't apply to the rest of the county.
Right.
But where one portion of the booklet that was too far apart were employee benefits, and that has to be the same across the board. And so now it is.
Good.
Yeah.
And I think you just said it, but I'll reiterate, making this widely available to employees, distributing copies to everybody who wants one, hasn't always been the case. So I think that'll be,
It's a really fun read. I think they'll enjoy it.
I'd read it.
It's a bestseller.
Sleep like a bacon.
Making sure all the employee staff know what their benefits are, what their pay requirements are, things like that, what their work requirements are is important. So, thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to thank Angela and Bruce and his staff.
Yes.
It's been in the works for a long time.
Well,
as you
I want to
said,
thank
Judge,
you
so
for
glad you got it done.
for being so cooperative with it.
Just the freedom of information requirements and guidelines, I
Yeah.
found, being a former journalist, still kind of semi-journalist. And so I have much greater appreciation now, going through that document, of all the things that our jail staff have to abide by, and make sure that the inmates also are treated in the way they need to be. So,
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, so we appreciate it.
Okay. We need a motion to approve this new policy manual for the jail.
So move.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have more for us?
Just that we're still doing well. We've got 181 feds and 124 state.
Awesome.
So we're
Those
still
numbers
doing
up?
well. The federal, the state, everybody's after state inmates anymore, and we get calls if the programs, which we're going to increase our programs, if we don't offer the programs that an inmate needs, then DOC sends them somewhere else.
Yeah.
So after the first year, we will be looking at more programs.
Good deal.
Keep our inmates. And we got our RFP out on our body scanners, so we're looking forward to getting that approved and getting one in.
Excellent. Jailer Todd, we did look up really quickly about the visitation for Joe's wife, and it
It said
online.
Wednesday, didn't it?
It said it's Wednesday,
Okay.
11 to 1
The
Wednesday.
email, you know, that sounds right, but it's not on my phone. I just looked it up before I came up here, and it said Friday, so.
Okay. Well, double check,
I will.
because what we have
Okay.
from
I'll get
Tomlinson's
back with you.
website is.
It may be Wednesday. I thought Friday was a way off, but,
And I know, it's important we know that, because I know several people who'd like
yeah.
to make
I'll
sure.
look- I'll look back on the phone again.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Did you want to mention about the bicycles?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say something, Bruce.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
I'm glad you did. We got pictures, we took bicycles to the Salvation Army this past week, and
Wow.
there's several of them, and
Refurbished bikes.
that's
Yep.
another thumbprint of Roy Pullum. We appreciate his idea, and they worked on for several weeks, getting them ready for Christmas, so some young kids, and,
Well, you had over 100, Bruce.
yeah, you had over 100. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, we did. We did that.
Listen, I talked to Gary Crawford, and with Roy, I'm kind of the link with, obviously, with the
Right.
jail and with Gary. And he may be willing just to drop them off down there, Bruce, instead of letting them pile up, like we had that 100, just periodically. He said he could bring them over to, because he lives in Henderson, said he'd just bring them
Okay.
sometime.
That's be
I'll
fine.
let you know,
Yeah, let
you
me
know.
know. Talk about, we were working on some yesterday morning. We're
Yeah.
still working on it.
Great job. And one of
Absolutely.
Roy's concerns was that was going to go away. I said,
Yeah,
no way.
no. Too important for the community and for
Yes, it
kids
is.
that may not get a bike this year. Now they will.
Hey, we got a load of them. I was over there the other day, man. Yeah, appreciate it very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, you have in your packet the sheriff's monthly report, the normal report. Any questions about that? Entertain a motion to approve that report.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We also have a list of surplus property the sheriff would like to declare. And Chip, if you don't mind coming up, I think it's worth just a quick discussion because we're auctioning off a whole bunch of cars. And, you know,
That's a very broad definition. Most of them are not operational. Most
Okay.
of them are
Parts.
parts, are crashed,
we,
former cars.
our department pushes cars hard, patrol cars hard. So they get to the end of their useful life quicker than they might normally in the private sector. So if you want to talk about that a little bit.
No, we have 10 old cruisers going back to a 2010 to a 2000, in the most current's a 2015 that are all in some form or fashion not able to be driven. So when we do that, we remove all the emergency equipment, and you'll see on the list of other stuff is that stuff that there's decades of old emergency equipment stored out there. We're trying to clean that up slowly but surely, because it begins to look like a salvage yard.
Yes. Out at the road department.
Out at the road, yeah, out at the road department.
Any questions about that list? We hope we get some money out of the,
And now one, as you can see, one was recent, well, you wouldn't have known that, but this Volkswagen, white Volkswagen, was a car that we seized as a result of a criminal investigation. We got the order from Circuit Court a couple weeks ago that it is now our property, and that's the reason it's listed. It's sort of the outlier. It's a Volkswagen Bug. Doesn't really quite meet the Dodge Charger.
Yeah.
So
I thought maybe you used it in the Christmas parade or something.
maybe we can salvage it.
Were
There
any
you
of
go.
were any of the items obtained through a grant? I know some of that stuff out at the road department is grant funded, and
No.
sometimes there's things
Yes,
in those grants. Okay.
no, none of these were.
Any other questions of Sheriff? So we'll read a resolution on the declaration of surplus property.
Resolution declaring certain county property to be surplus and providing for the disposition thereof.
And can we leave it at that? That's summary.
Yes.
Suits me.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Vince, if you want to see any of the details, just let me know. We got a packet for you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks, Jim.
Okay. And Renee Sadler, our excellent county clerk.
Who always, as Freeline, has a smile on her face.
Yes.
Good morning and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Good morning and Merry Christmas to you.
I have the November report. Excess fees for the month, $90,530, which is about $7,000 more than November of 2022. So that's a positive. And total amount remitted for November 2023, we have $132,609.81. And that's up about $16,000 from November of 2022. So that's, anybody have any questions?
Hang on a second after we
Yeah.
take the vote. Motion to approve and accept the
So moved.
excess.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Renisa, would you take a moment to describe the break you're going to have to take as the state updates its software concerning vehicle registrations?
Yes. The entire state, county clerk's offices will be affected, and it is due to an upgrade in the vehicle registration system, which is from the 80s. So you can imagine there are millions of records that need to be transferred over into this new system. It is a scheduled event, and we are going to be closing for the Christmas holiday the 25th and 26th. We will open back up that Wednesday, the 27th, and we will be operational, and we are encouraging everyone to get your December vehicle business done those 3 days, the 27th, 28th, and 29th. The 29th is actually a holiday for the county, but our office has chosen to stay open just to accommodate anyone who might want to, get that last minute transfer done, renewal done, because then the next week we will be closed for the New Year holiday that Monday and Tuesday, and then we will be closed to vehicle business while that transferring the program happens. And so we will be open for business for everything else, just not vehicle business. So people can come in and file for office. City commission race is going to be on the ballot. Circuit clerk. We also have Commonwealth attorney. So we have offices that, you can file for. And so we will be open for that. And anything else, deed room will be open. We will be there. Vehicle department will be in training, but we just won't be able to do any vehicle business.
And when do you think you'll be able to once again do vehicle business?
The 9th is our scheduled
January 9th.
reopening day. If all goes well, it is all dependent on this program being handled by the Transportation Cabinet. So hopefully it comes up well, and it's staggered, the openings throughout the state. So it's, 15 counties are jumping on one day, then the next day 15. So it's, a gradual opening, and we are the first day that we can be open, we are. So we are jumping in there. So, and then when we do open, just ask for patience. There might be some lines, and, people might be frustrated a little bit, but we're, hopefully going to be able to accommodate everybody with their renewals.
So to summarize, January 2 through January 9, there will be no vehicle business done at the county clerk's office.
Well, first and second, we're closed actually for the holiday because we are opening.
January 3rd through the 9th.
Yes, 3rd through
So-
the 9th. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let people know.
Yes.
We've tried to get the word out, but.
it's on WSON. They're doing a great job of. I did an interview with Erin, and she's playing it over and over. It's awesome. A lot of coverage there, and it's in the newspaper. It's on our Facebook. It's on our website. So
So
but
next
yeah,
Friday-
help us out.
Next Friday is D-Day.
Yes.
Before we go into
Right,
what amounts to a vehicle registration recess.
right. And we are open until 6, so. All right.
Any other questions?
Is there any new features with the new system that should help make things even better from
Yes,
now
it's
on?
actually going to be customer-centered, versus vehicle-centered. So it will be much easier when you come in to look at the individual and all of their vehicles. Before, it was very difficult because you had to have sometimes specific, like a VIN or your plate number, because whenever we searched a customer's name, if we entered it, if it's Tom Smith, if we entered Thomas Smith, which was the actual name, if he, titled anything in Tom Smith, that's not going to show up. So it's going to make it, more convenient and easier to find all of the records for each person. So that's a huge, huge bonus. We're not spending as much time searching. We're scanning driver's license with this new system. That means whenever you come in to do a transfer, we don't have to key in your information every single time. It's gonna populate. So that alleviates some of the mistakes, keying in, that can happen. So it's going to be more accurate. Also, whenever a customer comes in and they have their plate, they purchase a plate when they buy a vehicle, that plate is actually going to stay with the person. So if you sell the vehicle and there's any registration left on that plate, you're going to get to keep that plate and put it on whatever you purchase. So that is an added benefit of the system as well. So.
Good deal. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Mr. Gold, your report.
Judge, I've got a few checks today. Reimbursement, $3,984.38. Jail fees, $142.50. Health insurance, $10,136 and $920. Dental and life, $491.59 and $39.99. And Aflac, $120.10. Bringing today's total to $15,834.56. And the fiscal year to date to $101,821.66.
Motion
Move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Treasurer Ryder.
Looking quite festive.
This is the second reading of Budget Amendment Number 2 for the current fiscal year. This is amending into the budget unbudgeted revenue with the corresponding appropriation. The total for this is $144,759. Amended to increase the receipts of the state grants fund surplus prior year and increasing the appropriation side of the state grants recycling program. This is for a Kentucky Pride grant, which was actually receipted in the prior fiscal year. The total for this is $144,759.
Motion to approve.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
You have received transfers. These are transfers. They are as presented, and this is redistributing appropriations within the existing budget. One is to correct a posting error, and the other is to correct an underestimated budget amount. Also, there is a cash transfer from the LGEA fund to the road fund, the amount of $284,227. This is to correct a December 1st, 2023 deposit error.
By the state.
No, this was an in-house.
Okay.
This is an in-house correction.
Okay, any questions about those transfers? Hearing none?
Move to accept. Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the transfers, approve the transfers. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Claims?
Okay. You have received your bank balances after paying claims today. The day-to-day appropriation line should be at approximately 50%. I do have additional claims. From the general fund to Magistrate Tompkins, $1,245.81. This is for the 2023 training incentive and is to come from the fiscal court training appropriation line and is to be paid with the 12/21/2023 pay. From the road fund to Visa in the amount of $823.72. The majority of this is to come from the Employee Safety Program and the Recycling Staff Training Travel Appropriation lines. From the jail fund to AT&T Mobility for the cell phones, $590.59, and is to come from the telephone appropriation line. From the LGEA fund, $19,120.07. This is for the Canoe Creek mowing and is to come from the Canoe Creek appropriation line. Also, to the Henderson County Fair Board, $2,500. This is the annual appropriation for the current fiscal year and is to come from the county fair appropriation line. This is budgeted.
Move to pay the claims.
Move to pay the claims?
Second.
Motion and a second. The Finance Committee did meet yesterday and went over claims and the other reports, and anything y'all would like to add?
Well, we were well pleased with our revenue stream, for sure. It seems like we're
Yes.
doing really well. Found everything else in order.
Tim, any other comment from the Finance Committee?
Nope, ditto.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to pay the claims. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And to expand a little bit, if you looked at your county summary, the revenue and expenditure summary, you'll notice that I think every department, every one of our funds is approximately 42%, so well ahead of budget, which is great. And thank you for all the department heads and elected officials for keeping close eye on the pennies. The comment about revenue is merely because we are hitting our goals. The property tax receipts have exceeded budget now. So, you know, one of the things that we always hope for when we budget at the beginning each spring is that we estimate these lines pretty well. That's good. So we make sure that our expenditures fit within that bubble. And I always get a little excited this time of year when we begin to reach our revenue goals to make sure that we can afford our expenditure goals. So as Brenda will tell you, I ask for a new update on revenue every other week, and keep her hopping on that. But thank you, and it all looks good. We are on track. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
thank you. Would anybody else from the audience like to say anything for good of the county? Yes, sir.
Just a point of information, while I've been sick and in and out of the hospital a couple of times later, anything that can be handled over the phone, I'm still doing. But the day-to-day operation of the office right now is going to the Chief Deputy, Sheila Patterson. So if y'all need something and can't get a hold of me, don't hesitate in calling the office number and getting Sheila if you need anything. But right now, we're just kind of hanging in there. I was back in the hospital again last week. There was loving running up a bill on me. So, but I just wanted to make you all aware of that if you need something, if I've got my phone handy, fine. If not, Sheila's around.
Best of luck, Karen, while you handle this.
Hey, Bruce, we just wish you a speedy recovery, buddy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do what?
I said, we wish you a speedy recovery.
It's not gonna happen.
Oh, man.
Looks like I'm gonna have this forever. And what it is, they go in and we're trying to get something else set up, but come in and do this paracentesis. which is sucking fluid off of you. I've filled several 2-liter Coke bottles in the last month, and so we're just kind of going from there, so thank you very much.
Well, if
Be
we can help
thinking
you
of
out,
you.
let us know.
Absolutely.
Well, if you want to carry me down the stairs.
I mean, I'll go get a wheelchair.
Okay, we'll go around the horn. Master Southern?
Everything's good in District 3, where roads look good. They're cutting back roadsides, cutting limbs back, which is very important. And just thanks to the guys, they all do a great job. Thanks to everyone. And all's good.
All right. Master Tompkins?
Yep, things are going really good in District 2. Had a couple of pretty big jobs going, doing some repair work, roadsides and things like that. And as it comes to the end of the first full year of me doing this, I'd just like to thank everybody in District 2 for the opportunity to serve, learning lots, getting to meet more and more people all the time. And again, like I said, thankful for the opportunity and going to continue to do my best. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. You've done well.
Oh, I forgot one thing. Everybody, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Master Putnam?
Thank you, Judge. Great court today. To honor Roy Pullum, probably one of the most distinguished men in Henderson County. Meant a lot to me personally. He's a good friend of mine for over 3 decades. But I appreciate what the court done with that recognition of the proclamation. Other than that, Judge, again, Merry Christmas to everyone, and all is good in District 4.
Excellent. Master Starks?
Thank you, Judge, and thank you, everyone, for being here this morning, and I appreciate all the great information, all the hard work that goes on. I'm like Magistrate Tompkins, finishing out this first year. It seems like it's been a whirlwind. I think your whiskers may be a little bit longer than mine at the end of this first term. I'll be interested to see what they look like after the 4th year in this term, but it definitely is an honor to be able to serve our community in our respective districts and then countywide as well. And that's what I look forward to doing again in 2024. We've got a lot of exciting things, I think, lying ahead, and still, some good work to do. So I'm looking forward to that. All is good. And the 5th, I would just encourage folks to be very careful as you're out. My goal is to keep Kenny and his staff and all the rescue operators and all the fire departments in their houses, and so that they can be home with their loved ones, just like the rest of us are, safe and sound. So be safe on the roads, never drink and drive. Now the temperatures have finally gotten to winter-like conditions, safe with any kind of heating sources and that type of thing. And let's all have a healthy and safe holiday and a happy and joyful new year of 2024.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. Gold?
Well, building on that, this has been a red letter year for the county, just about any way you measure it. And it's been the culmination of years of work of lots of people, lots of members of the fiscal court, lots of county employees, lots of different agencies that we work with, and there were a lot of great things that occurred in this past year as we look back on it for the county, and we have a lot to build on for the future. Excelsior, upward and onward, right? But the thing that I reflect on is that our people are our most valuable asset of the county. We have an excellent workforce that works really hard. A lot of them, like at the jail, the sheriff's office, road department, those end up being 24/7 operations a lot of times. And we have a lot of unsung heroes in this county government, and I'm very proud to work with all of you and with all of them. I'm really glad that we were able to recognize Roy Pullum today. He really exemplifies that saying that leadership is action, not what position you hold. He's been one of the biggest leaders in this community and has never had the position, but he's been that person that's been the driving force behind so many things, and it was very, very appropriate that we stopped and took time to recognize that. And hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and as we go forward, everybody just take time to remember the reason for the season. Like it says in Luke chapter 2, verse 14, glory to God in the highest, and peace on earth and goodwill toward men.
Amen.
Thank you, Steve. It was quite nice to honor Mr. Pullum. Thank you for making that suggestion, Butch. Well deserved. And I also want to reiterate what Steve said about our team. I would venture to say that Master Tompkins and Master Starks would say this year has flown by for them. And the same for Jailer Todd and Sheriff Stoffer. It's hard to believe that it's been a year in your offices. 12 months can go by really quickly.
Don't blink.
And their teams, our team at county government, and we are about to have our annual kind of get-together for Christmas and also recognize those employees, those members of our team who have worked here through some benchmarks and celebrate them. I encourage you to stay if you can. It's always a fun time, and it's also a chance for members of Fiscal Court, with them sitting and standing in front of us, to thank them for all they do. Please keep Master Barry in your thoughts. He's got some health challenges, but I haven't heard any worse news since he talked to me over the weekend. He sends his regards. I think he's convalescing in Florida. Not a bad way to go, but still had to miss today. Also, Joe Duncan's family, please keep them in your prayers as well. And I want to personally say thank you to all the folks in front of me here. And we are lucky to have the team we've got. In our constitutional officers and department heads, we have some of the best of the best. And it makes our jobs much easier that we have constitutional officers and people running our departments that are so good at what they do. So we very much appreciate you. Anything that makes me look good is I'm thankful for. And you all make me look really good, better than I deserve. So with that, after a busy schedule, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor can leave and have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.